The second grammatical function, is that of the verb. V stand, as V stand for the verb. A verb has the grammatical meaning of that which asserts an action or a state. Either the verb asserts an action, indicates an action, or an assertion, a state. Either the verb here shows me that there is an action, whether mental or physical, or it indicates a state of being. Okay. In a sentence, the monkeys climbed the trees. The monkeys climbed the trees. The monkeys is the subject of the sentence. Climbed is the main verb of the sentence. The trees is considered as the direct object. Okay, to test, why do we say that the monkeys here is the subject of the sentence? We can depend upon, you remember this, on a front shift. We can depend upon what or who climbed the trees here, asking a question with what or who, okay, or depending upon the subject verb concord. Here we said, we said that here the verb is with past simple tense, so that I can't show agreement unless I change it into present simple to say the monkeys climb the trees here in its base form. Okay, this is with reference to what we call it as one of the ways to identify the subject. Also, the monkeys climb the trees. It means that the subject did an action. Which action? Climbing. It is a physical action here. You see, an action. So this is one meaning, one grammatical meaning related to the verb. The grammatical meaning relationship that the verb has with the rest of the sentence, with reference to the subject as well as the object. He seems happy, or he is happy. He is happy and he seems happy. Okay, seems here as a verb express no action, but express what? A state of being, حالة. He seems happy. He looks happy. He becomes happy, and he is happy. Okay, so either a state of being or an action, asserts an action or state of being. This is what we call it as the verb. And you remember earlier we said that we have different kinds of verbs, the general classification into auxiliaries, main verbs. Within main verbs we have action, non-action verbs. Within action verbs we have transitive, intransitive verbs, and beside this action, non-action, we have linking verbs. So seems, you remember this, one of the linking verb showing either a state of being, and is again a linking verb showing a state of being. This is with reference to the verb. The third grammatical function is that of what? Subjective complement. By subjective complement, we would like to complete the subject by giving an adjective which describes the subject, by giving a noun phrase which identifies the subject. So the subjective complement, SC, capitalize, has the grammatical meaning relationship that which follows the verb, be or a linking verb, such as مثلا become, such as look, seem, appear, etc., and identifies or describes the subject. So the subjective complement occurs after either a linking verb or verb to be. This is one. Where do we find the subjective complement? Either after linking verbs or after be as being the only verb within the sentence. This is number one. Number two, it has the grammatical meaning relationship, which is what? Here, the subjective complement, either it describes the subject or it identifies the subject, re-identifies. You see, not only a sense of identification, re-identifies. Whether it describes or re-identifies, it completes the subject. It adds something to the subject. It gives me a clear picture about the subject in the form of identification or in a sense of description. Okay. What else? This means that the subjective complement completes the meaning of the subject either by specifying its identity or describing it. This is what we said. So the subjective complement as such completes the subject. Why subjective complement? Because this complement is related to the subject, completes the meaning of the subject. How? Either by specifying the identity of the subject, who is he or what is it, or by describing the subject, by giving a sense of description to the subject. So let's tackle these two examples to say whether we have a sense of description or a sense of re-identification. And be careful whether it is here if we have a sense of description, look at the form of the word that stands for this description. If identification, again look at its form, realization. Okay, that's to say we have more than one realization. The woman was a dicta. The woman is the subject, was verb to be, is past of is a dicta. So a dicta, who is the dicta? The woman. And what's the woman? She's a dicta. So a dicta here is a noun phrase by form. This is one. And here does it, for example, describe? No, it doesn't describe. Rather, I know that I'm talking once I say the woman, this woman, that woman, the lady, so I add there, this means that it is definite for me, woman. So I'm going to re-identify it to give more information about this woman, saying was a dicta. So a dicta is considered as a complement to the subject. This is why we call it as a subjective complement, having the meaning, the grammatical meaning relationship, which is what? That which is identified by saying a dicta, as if I'm giving an identity for the subject. So the subjective complement, a dicta, identifies the subject. Make it clear. The artist seems upset. The artist seemed upset. So upset, the artist, sorry, this is the subject. Seemed is one of the linking verb. Upset, an adjective. What about form? It's form. Its form is the adjective. So by function, upset here, because upset has the grammatical meaning relationship, which is a description for the artist, the subject. As such, it is a subjective complement. It describes the subject. This is what we mean by subjective complement. So a subjective complement, either it describes, so it will be either an adjective, one adjective, or an adjective phrase. To say he is happy and he is very happy. Happy is an adjective, very happy adjective phrase consisting of happy as being the head word of the phrase, preceded by the qualifier very. The woman was Layla. The woman was Layla. The woman was a dicta. The woman was Layla. Layla is a proper noun, a noun by form, and a subjective complement by function. Which grammatical relationship, meaning relationship? Once I say the woman was Layla, Layla re-identifies, not identifies, re-identifies the subject. So it completes the meaning of the subject by giving a sense of identity. But to say the artist seems upset, here the subjective complement has the grammatical meaning relationship, which is what of not as a description to the subject. So two forms for the subjective complement as an adjective, whether adjective or adjective phrase. Two forms for the subjective complement as being a sense of identity, again as a noun or a noun phrase. This is what we mean by subjective complement. Let's move to direct object. Direct object again has so many grammatical, and by the way, once I say performer of the action, once I say affected by the action, these are selections of the grammatical meaning relationships. Inshallah, once you reach the fourth stage, you will see this in detail, different meanings or grammatical meaning relationship that the subject might express. That's to say, meaning or the semantic meaning of the subject, semantic function, that's to say. Okay, direct object that which undergoes the action of the verb. يعني affected by the verb phrase, affected by the action done by the subject. That which is undergoes, goes under. This is what we mean by affected. تحت تأثير. So undergoes, goes under, or affected by the action performed by the verb. Okay, this means that here, once we say a direct object, it is affected or under the effect, undergoes the action of the verb, that verbs like see and believe, though we know them well, is whether I say see or believe, they are considered as what? Performing an action that an object can undergo. This indicates what? That verbs here, we are treating verbs of physical as well as mental activities, not only physical actions. Okay. Malcolm bought a candle. He attended Southern Virginia College. So bought or attended, these are what? Verbs. So what about the direct object? The direct object which follows the verb here in these two examples, they are what? They are under the effect of the action done by the verb. Affected, which means they undergo the action. And again, this does not mean that only we have one grammatical meaning relationship expressed by the object. We can see other meanings. Inshallah, you will study them in detail in your fourth year. Number 5, we have indirect object, ID. An indirect object has the grammatical meaning that person or thing to or for whom an action is performed. To whom this action is performed. Okay? Who will or what will get benefit of the action performed by the verb? Who will receive the action? Who will receive the action? Who will get benefit of this action? Okay. This indicates what? That indirect objects describe indirect object who receives or benefits from something. Who get benefit of something. The same as you remember this. My mother bought me a flower. So my mother is the subject. Bought is the verb, transitive verb. Bought whom? Bought me. So bought me what? A flower. So who will get benefit of the flower? My mother or me? Of course me. I'm the receiver of the action. I'm the beneficiary of the action. I will get benefit of the action. Which action? I will take the flower. So as such, a flower is considered as a direct object. Why? Because now I'm the receiver of the flower. I will get benefit of this flower. For this reason, flower is under my effect, is under my control, تحت سيطرتي, تحت تأثيري. So this is the direct and indirect object. The next one, the sixth grammatical meaning relationship is that connected with the objective complement. So the objective complement again has the grammatical meaning that which completes the direct object and describes or identifies its, even it asserts its. So again, the objective complement occurs as a complement for the direct object only in the form of a description or identification. We consider the manager incompetent. We, the subject, consider the verb, the manager, direct object. So the manager is considered as what? Incompetent. So incompetent completes the meaning of the direct object, not the subject. incompetent has nothing to do with we, rather with the manager. They elected Henry captain. Who is the captain, Henry or they? Of course, Henry. So captain here as a noun completes the meaning of Henry, the direct object. As such, it is considered as objective complement. So in the same way as with subjective complement, either it identifies the object, but subjective complement, it identifies the subject. Objective complement describes the object, direct object, whereas the subjective complement describes the subject in this way. So the word incompetent completes the meaning of the direct object, the manager, and describes it. Okay, the word captain completes the meaning of the direct object, Henry, and identifies it. So incompetent in the first sentence is considered as an adjective which describes the manager, not we. Captain is considered as a complement which identifies Henry, not they. This is what we mean by objective complement. The last one is what? The last one is the object of the proposition. Where do we find the object of proposition? In propositional phrases. What are the components of propositional phrases? It starts with a proposition followed by a noun phrase, noun substitute, or even a pronoun. So the word that occurs after the proposition is called as the object of a proposition. So an object of a proposition has the grammatical meaning relationship, which is what? That which is related to another word by a proposition. It is that which is related to another word within the sentence by a proposition. Okay, that's to say what occurs after a proposition. The dog ran near the river. Near the river is a propositional phrase. Starts with near, followed by the noun phrase the river. So now near the river here is considered near as the proposition. The river is the object of the proposition. What follows the proposition is considered as object of a proposition. Sally paid rent for her mother. So her mother is considered as the object of the propositional phrase for her mother. So the words the river as well as her mother are considered as the object of the proposition near and for respectively. So do we all the time see a noun phrase after the proposition? Of course no. Here once I say near the river for her mother, sometimes we say pass this ball to Ali. To Ali is the propositional phrase. Where is the object of the proposition? Ali. It is a proper noun. You see? Pass this ball to me. To a proposition. Me is a pronoun. You see? A pronoun might function as the object of the proposition. Pass this to that. Okay. Again, noun substitute. It substitute this, for example, this ball, and that to that thing. Okay. So this is with reference to the different forms occurring or functioning as the object of a proposition. Thank you for listening.